I want to talk about an article that I seen where it says Shakur Stevenson said he's not going to fight Oscar Valdez toe to toe. Now, of course, when you read this article, I'm going to leave the link in the description box. When you go ahead and read this article, it's obviously somebody who doesn't like Shakur Stevenson. They sit up here and call his fight with Jamel Herring boring. Shakur Stevenson's fight with Jamel Herring was not boring, even in the least. So I don't know who's writing these articles. Who's writing these articles must be casuals, because they can't be a fan of boxing. But I don't know how anybody find that fight boring. But then again, in boxing, if you pay close attention, the only fighters that get called boring are black. They're the only fighters in boxing who get called boring for displaying skill. It makes absolutely no sense. You want to know one thing that you'll never hear them say? When has anybody ever asked Vasily Lomachenko to go toe to toe? No, they don't want that. All they talk about is the skill. Oh my God, look at the skill. He's so skillful. Look at the skills. Ooh, I love it. Ooh, I love it. But yet when you see those same set of skills on somebody else who's not white, Mexican, or something like that, they're always called boring. Why do you think that is in boxing? I'm asking you guys, why do you think that is in boxing? What person would enter a fight fighting the fight that their opponent wants? If Shakur Stevenson was to go toe-to-toe with Oscar Valdez, isn't that a style that favors Oscar Valdez? So when they say they want a boxer to do something that requires less skill, they obviously want to give his opponent the advantage. So they don't look at this as a fair fight. Okay? The only way they're going to look at this as a fair fight is if Shakur Stevenson goes toe to toe. But once again, every time you are displaying skill, depending on who you are, this shit's called boring. Okay? You had one of the best skilled boxers on earth. Okay? No need to say his name because we already know who we talking about. Okay? What did they want him to do? Stand toe to toe. Why? Because nobody can beat him when it comes to the sweet science. And the sweet science is to hit and not get hit. Why would you want to take more punishment if you didn't have to? Okay? A toe-to-toe fight favors Oscar Valdez. How about we ask Oscar Valdez to use some skill? Like, no. Why would you ask him to do that? He fights better on the inside. Okay, Shakur is a skillful fighter. Why are y'all asking him to be a slugger? Because it favors Oscar Valdez. Because y'all don't want this fight to happen in the first fucking place. You don't. And this is the problem with fucking boxing. It's too much bias, bigotry, bullshit. Okay? Because if you would actually enjoy what boxing stands for, which is the sweet science of hit and not getting hit, okay, what's the first rule of boxing? Protect yourself at all times. It's the first and the last rule. Protect yourself at all times. So why would you want this skillful fighter to get into a slugging match with Oscar Valdez? Because you obviously want somebody like Oscar Valdez to win. Okay? But this is the problem with the fucking sport. Okay? You say you don't like skills. Skills is boring to you. You want to see sluggers. You want to see people stay in the pocket. You want to see knockouts. Gervonta Davis gives you that. All people do is talk about how they're dissatisfied, or they don't like what the fuck they see, or this. The only thing that they can't say about Gervonta Tank Davis is he's boring. That's the only thing that they can't say about him. When are you going to understand that nothing these guys do is ever going to be good enough to these so-called, whoever the fuck write these fucking articles, bunch of bigot ass, hating ass motherfuckers, you know what I'm saying? Instead of focusing on the pure skill of boxing and the essence of what boxing is supposed to stand for, they just choose to hate on people. No, Shakur shouldn't go in there and fight fucking toe to toe. He should go in there and do whatever best suits him. The same as Oscar Valdez is going to do. But I never seen any other Caucasian or Mexican boxer questioned because they didn't do something toe to toe. Okay? Slugging and staying in the pocket, toe to toe, and all that other shit, you know, that's the opposite of the sweet science. If you guys just want to see a brawl, there's plenty of bare knuckle bullshit, you know what I'm saying, that you can go out there and watch. It's plenty of it. But there's no reason why somebody should try to slam Shakur Stevenson for fighting his fight, for using what he does best. Is Oscar Valdez not going to use what he does best? So let Shakur Stevenson use what he does best, okay? Styles make fights, right? Okay, so match these two styles up and see where you come out. Don't have him try to fight like Oscar Valdez when that's not his forte, just because it favors Oscar Valdez. And there's no guarantee, like I say, in boxing, the most skillful fighter doesn't always win. They don't. I keep using Tony Harrison and Jamel Charlo. The skillful boxers don't always win. That's just a fact. So there's nothing to say that him keeping up the sweet science, sticking and moving, there's nothing to say that that's going to overpower Valdez. That's not say we don't know today, mixed up in the ring, but that's the interesting part. Let's go ahead and see it. But don't complain ahead of time. Talk about this fighter's born, this fighter. Let me ask you guys a question. Okay? Name me 3 fighters. Fuck it. Name me one fighter that is not black, that the boxing world, industry, fans, whoever the fuck you want to call it, call boring or called boring. Name me one. Exactly, they don't get called boring. No matter what they do. When you get a fighter that fights like Floyd, but they're not Floyd, and they don't look like Floyd, oh, look at all this skill. Look at Alexander Usyk. Oh my God, look at these skills. Did anybody ask Alexander Usyk to stand in the pocket and trade? Did anybody say all those skills was boring? Has anybody called Lomachenko with all them skills boring? Never, not once. How's that any different from Shakur Stevenson or Floyd Mayweather or anybody else that use a whole bunch of skills? There is no difference. They're both using the sweet science, hit and not getting hit. They're both doing the same thing. But in boxing, only one fighter is going to get called fucking boring. And this other fucked up thing about boxing. Imagine how many people just got in their fucking feelings because I just stated the obvious. Because I just told the truth. Just imagine how many people gonna catch an attitude just off me telling the truth and something that we all know. We all know this. Very few will say it because when it comes to boxing content and these boxing channels, I don't know where they balls or where they heart at, but it's non-existent. They don't like to tell, well, I know why they don't want to do it, because they somehow feel they need to cater towards you in order to grow a channel, in order to be popular, in order to this, in order to that, to sell out for a YouTube check or whatever, some shit like that. I always just say what's real and what's true. If it happens to pertain to black fighters and this, that, and the third, that's no reason for you to bitch about it and say, oh, stop whining, you're doing this and that, and this and that. Because you want to know the truth of it is, at least in America, nobody likes either when you tell the truth or you take up for anything that has to do anything with anything black. Nobody likes it. It makes everybody unfucking comfortable. But yet, if I did it for this Filipino fighter, I'm the realest motherfucker on earth. And I have done it. Yet, if I do it for this Caucasian fighter, I'm the realest motherfucker on earth. And I have done it. But yet, if I try to give a compliment, even with people that I have talked about in the past, if I try to give them a compliment, people get upset. I can't tell you as a content creator, I don't notice that. Like, why do all these people buck whenever I try to give a black fighter a compliment the same as I try to do anybody else? I just don't want to shit on people all the fucking time. I want to say something good about you, even if I don't necessarily like your ass. Oscar Valdez need to fight his fucking fight, which bet suit him. Shakur Stevenson need to fight his best fight, what best suits him, put him in the ring and see where we end up at the end of the day. Boxing is the most fairest sport on earth, but at the same time, the most crooked. Because the sheer sport, the sheer technique of the whole thing is extremely fair. Only one man can walk out that ring the victor. But how it is judged and how it is perceived and how people is treated and what people say around the fight, during the fight, and after the fight is totally biased and fucked up. One of the best sports in the world, at the same time, the fucking worst sport in the world. If people would just judge people off boxing skills, we wouldn't have this fucking problem. You know what I'm saying? If people would judge people by what they do inside the ring and not worry about what they feel about them personally and all that other shit, oh, this sport would be all for the better. But we'll never get that. That's why this is one of the greatest sports in the world that happen to be the worst sport, period. That's my thoughts on that. I'm out.